So who do we have on tonight, Zara?
On tonight's show, we have Tash, who is the mother of a beautiful young trans girl.
Thank you for being with us, Tash.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So, being a parent of a trans person must be a bit challenging, a bit confronting. Tell us a little bit about your experience of being a trans parent.
Very different experience to being the parent of my first child. I guess when you're pregnant, you don't think about you're carrying possibly a trans child. You think of things that the doctors might say about maybe you've got a child with a disability, or Down syndrome, or whatever it would be, or having a baby that's not healthy. You just don't think about that. And when we had Quinn, we still didn't give much thought until she was able to actually access things herself. So once she started moving, crawling, and then walking, we realised that she was attracted to things that were not, what we'd seen previously with our elder son. Anything that was feminine, glittery, pretty, that kind of stuff, Quinn would move heaven and earth to get to. So that was the first sort of sign that something was, different to our previous experience. And then when she was able to start verbalising things, she would ask for things that were feminine as well. So if we were out at a shop, she would see some gorgeous doll with a dress on and she'd be like, oh, I'd love that, that sort of stuff. So we slowly woke up to what was going on. My gut was telling me things were happening and I wasn't listening. And I think that's one of the big things I would say is that listen to your instincts. Because my gut was telling me that my child was most likely transgender, but the rest of the world was telling me that's probably not the case.
I think it's really interesting that you first noted things and changes in Quinn when she could just crawl. Like I wouldn't have...
Her attraction to stuff was entirely different to Adam.
I wouldn't have realised that there was like signs so young and so little.
Yeah, and it's amazing that you were able to recognise that and respond.
One of the things that, because we didn't have toys probably that Quinn was after in our home, because we had the older son, but we'd go to a mum's group each week, and there was quite a few girls in that mum's group. So we'd go to houses with Barbies and dress-ups, female dress-ups, all kinds of fairy dresses and, ladybug outfits and gorgeous things and wands and tiaras and you would just see Quinn light up, that you could see she was happiest when she was with these type of things. So as a mum, all I ever wanted for my children, and I still do, is for them to be happy. At the end of the day, I really don't care about much else as long as they're happy and good people. So I had to recognise that. I think it was hardest for my husband, big burly bogan man. He's okay with me saying that. He has no issues at all with having a transgender child. He's quite happy, very supportive of Quinn. But he worried about the world that would be out there for Quinn. And we both did a lot at first. We know that not everybody is accepting and tolerant. We know that things are getting better, but it's a slow road, it's not quick. And that's the sort of things that concern us. Not having a transgender child at all, because it's fabulous. Like, she's just, like any little girl, just like anybody else's little daughter.
And so it's been a few years now that you've been on this journey. Those fears that you initially thought of, have any of those actually happened, or do you find that we fear more than what's actually going to happen?
I think that we do fear more than what is actually going to happen, definitely. I have found majority of people to be supportive and wanting more information, like they want to understand, particularly grandparents, like some of the older generation who had never thought of this at all. My in-laws, even my grandparents who were Quinn's great-grandparents. I remember when we first looked at using the female pronouns of her and she, my nan went, oh, duh, we should have been using those years ago, and this is coming from an 87-year-old woman.
That's
so,
wonderful.
and I loved that. It was wonderful. It was so obvious to her. Yeah. But then, there have been some tricky situations. There was a situation at school with one family that didn't agree with what was going on and who Quinn is. And that particular parent tried to get some other parents on board. So that was where I guess your role as being a parent changes to being an advocate at times, and sometimes you don't want to be an advocate. Just want to be mum, to your gorgeous daughter, but it's not a role that I can just have now. I need to be an advocate for Quinn.
Has that taken a toll in the family dynamics, having to advocate all the time?
It can be a little bit exhausting, and I do worry about the impact sometimes on Quinn's siblings. But as a whole, the family love Quinn, support Quinn. We know there's just no doubt about who Quinn is, and her brothers have grown up with her. Her younger brother never even acknowledged her as being the person she was prior to transition. So Quinn has a very supportive family, but yeah, we do have to take advocacy roles on at times, all of us, siblings, my husband, grandparents, whoever. But we do it pretty well, I think, at the moment. And it has, and like you said, Sarah, there's been so many more positive experiences than the negative. They really do outweigh.
So as a family who is raising a trans child, what sort of supports are available for you?
Supports at first were quite limited because we were in a world that we didn't know. And it was probably when we got referred to the Royal Children's Hospital and started doing a patient appointments down there. We do 2 a year at the moment because Quinn's a child and she's not near puberty at this stage. So that was I guess the turning point where we learnt about support groups and things out there that are going to be helpful for us. There's a particular group called Transcend that we have sort of found very helpful. Quinn has found a role model in there with Georgie Stone and has met Georgie and just adores Georgie. So that's been very supportive for the whole family. We do a lot of stuff online with them and regular catch-ups with other parents as well online. And the good thing that came out of that too is that we found a transgender girl literally 5 minutes down the road at another school through that group. So now we arrange catch-ups with those 2 girls and they have a ball. And although Quinn's got wonderful friendships with her cis friends, it's just nice for her to have someone who can really understand the shoes that she's wearing, and they've got this sort of bond, I guess. And it's nice for me too because I catch up with her mother and go, oh, this is happening or that's happening, and we can share our experiences. And that's been huge for me to have someone like that. Other supports I would say is we kind of put a bit of a team Quinn around us, I guess, and we got rid of anyone. We did. We got rid of the people who weren't supportive and wouldn't be on board. Because at the end of the day, they can't be part of our lives. If they're not going to be supportive of Quinn and us as parents, can't be there. We've got wonderful family, friends, teaching staff, all kinds of people in the community, even neighbours, who just are part of that team and we know support Quinn 100%.
So there's a lot of kids out there that don't have this support network that you've provided for Quinn. Do you have any thoughts or advice that you would like to give to other parents?
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the early stages with Quinn were saying, don't be silly, it's just a phase, this kind of stuff. And my gut was telling me that was not correct. This was not a phase, and there's a preconceived idea, there's gender reveals. That you are going to have a boy or a girl. And we know that's not the case. But a lot of other people don't know that. You're having a baby. You're having a little human. Yeah. It could be anywhere on that spectrum of gender, So as a parent, listen to what your gut says and not what the world is telling you or people who are probably not informed and not educated around this area. I know that some of our family have gone away and done some reading and some research just to get their head around things. And it's helped them immensely, I think. Also try and hook up with some supports that will, be informative and encouraging and supportive for you because you might be a bit lonely. I did feel quite lonely at first, but there's people out there, just got to find them.
Yeah. And what was the easiest way to find somebody? Is it online?
I'd probably say online, Zara. Yeah. Given that we're in a regional area and COVID's been a massive factor for the past year, we've joined a couple of groups online, closed groups, obviously. that have been supportive. Quinn's age probably limits a bit of support. Like places like Headspace offer groups for young trans, young people, but being 9, she doesn't fit that area yet.
In those online spaces, we know that online can be fraught with danger for attitudes of others. So have you had any negative opinions or feedback on those groups? Or?
No, the groups that I've joined, you need to provide a statement as to why you would like to join the group, and then one of the admin will phone you and I think I spent about 45 minutes on each phone call discussing, what was going on for me and what the group's about and blah, 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 before you're actually approved to be part of that group. So I've experienced none of that negativity. I do, of course, just through general social media, see things all the time that, don't sit well with me. And I will now as a mum who's also an advocate, Sometimes I like to just plant seeds. I don't want to dictate. I'm not an expert in this at all. I'm no expert. But I'd like to plant seeds in people's minds and let them think, well, maybe I do need to learn more, and maybe I do need to educate myself about this area.
Yeah, because I would imagine that you will come across, like we do, a lot of misinformation that is shared around on the internet, and if we don't say something,
yes,
then people believe that. That's
yes,
all their experience is. So.
Absolutely. And sometimes people will say things to me that lets me know straight away that they are really ill-informed. Being a transgender child is not about having surgery immediately or having hormone treatments and things, but that people immediately go to the other end. It's a whole pathway to there, and not every trans person will want to go down that path. It's what's right for that person.
I feel like Quinn is very lucky to have you.
We kind of feel blessed to have Quinn, to be honest. It's opened our eyes up into a world where, we're much better people for having her as a daughter, to be quite honest. And I think her brothers would say that too, as having her as a sister, even though she annoys them endlessly. But at the end of the day, they've got her back, and I think we've all grown from having, Quinn.
What kind of hopes do you have for Quinn in the future?
When I think about Quinn's future, I'm hoping that she will continue to live in a world that becomes more accepting, more tolerant, more educated about this area. I hope that she will continue to find her people, and I think she's building a resilience, and she came out resilient. I really believe that. Out of my 3 children, I would say Quinn is by far the most resilient. So I'm hoping that she'll go out into the world with that resilience. And of course, she knows that she's realistic. She knows there'll be rough times and difficult challenges to face, but that resilience will, I think, get her through. And I think she'll find her people. She always does. She finds people who are part of the team Quinn. She does. She attracts those people. So I don't worry. When Quinn first transitioned and when we first recognised Quinn as a trans woman, I worried about that all the time. Where will she fit? Where will she be? What road will she take? All that kind of stuff. Will people love her like we love her? I don't now. That stuff sort of dropped off as life's progressed, and I've seen her living life happy, healthy. Quinn's adamant that she will have puberty blockers. She's adamant she'll have hormones. She's adamant she will have full gender surgery at the minute she can get it. So hopes for the future is that she can have all those things smoothly. And we've already got a Quinn account. We've got, we're putting money away, so that will all be financed
for those expenses.
Yes, because I don't want Quinn to ever not take opportunities because she's needing to think about, I want to pay for that surgery or whatever. So we've got an account ready to go.
So we wanted to thank you so much, Tash, for coming and being really open and honest about your journey as being a parent of a trans child. It's been really informative, and I think it's really positive for other people out there to hear. We have a little gift for you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed coming in and chatting, and happy that other parents might see this, and it may just assist and help someone to recognise what's going on for them and their family.
Thank you. I hope so too.
Thank you.
Thank you.